Hey there, this is video podcast number 6 in the series of API gateways, and giving you details about our API gateway implementation, where we are at, and also giving you a lot of the technical details and sharing my knowledge from what we've learned so far, right? So in the last one we started talking about monetization. In this one, let's continue. We talked about AWS Marketplace and a little bit about Rapid, and I ended the video talking about Rapid's Business Hub beta product, which we actually have an interest in, and we're going to have conversations with them to figure out if we can collaborate, work together in publishing our API through their Business Hub, even if it's in beta mode, right? Their product is in beta mode, not us. So what is the difference, right? Now, if you publish it to a marketplace like their public hub, Rapid's public hub, like I mentioned the pros and cons in the last video, the Business Hub is similar to some other providers that we are talking to and working with, and will be publishing our API platform, our API through. One of them is Blobber. So let me talk about the Rapid's Business Hub in the context of Blobber. I was searching for different ways of publishing, seeing who's out there, who's more popular, who's easy to use and whatnot. And I stumbled into Blobber. This is a French company based out of Paris, as I understand. And I was like, okay, let me sign up for a free plan and see how it goes, right? And typically I give myself we give ourselves like a couple of hours to get our API into their systems, just to see how far we can go within a couple of hours, right? So we have, I don't think I've talked about Postman's JSON collection, the format and Open API in any of the videos. Probably talk about it in the next ones. But let's just skip that for a second and say we want to, make ourselves available on these platforms and providers in less than a couple of hours, right? That's our general target. With Blobber, it actually, the initial work, the good chunk of the initial work took only like 45 minutes, right? I had not heard of a company called Blobber till I found them in the search results. And then I signed up and I did everything, we needed to do to get ourselves out there. And 45 minutes later, we were almost there. I say almost because I ran into a few issues. They are a startup. All of us live and learn, there are issues. So we did run into a few bugs. But the thing is not, that's all right? So, and we always give the benefit of the doubt to other companies out there, especially smaller ones that are growing and ambitious and doing beautiful stuff. We relate to those types of companies. So I reached out to the support team, just explaining, sent a message, explaining the problem. And then I was able to set up a call the very next day. And within 48 hours, I was able to get on a call with a salesperson. And she was really good. She was technical, but not so technical enough to be able to make the code changes, but that was all right. She was able to engage the developer during the call while I was on a call with her, while I explained the problem very specifically. And again, given the fact that we are in the business of engineering and doing this very technical, we are able to give them more specific details. Not everybody may or may not be able to do that, but with that said, she was able to take that, talk to a developer, and he was able to make the changes and deploy the changes while we were on the call, within the 1 hour that we were on the call. At the end of the call, we were able to get the issue resolved, right? There was a couple other issues remaining, but the one pressing issue, we were able to get it resolved. That had to do with pricing and US credit cards and whatnot, right? That was absolutely amazing, and I love their tool. And the big difference between that and the public hubs, or the similarity between that and I believe Rapid's Business Hub, even though I have not seen it yet at this point, would be the fact that you're not sending your consumers, your potential clients, business clients to a random place where they're like, hey, go check this out with a lot of the other API providers and just letting them loose. Here you take them to a place where it's very company specific, right? You theme that portal based for your own company using their tool, and then you essentially publish your API on their platforms, and there are nuances there. Blobber lets you, make the request through Blobber, so it goes through their systems. You pick a plan, your customers, let me jump the gun. Your end user experience, I explained AWS experience in the previous video. Our end user experience on Blobber would be, hey, you go to blobber.snowpal.com, for instance, right? Once we go live, you subscribe to the API. You essentially pick a plan, and then you say, okay, great, I want to consume the endpoints. That's it. You would get an API key right there. You're not getting an email. You might get an email through Blobber, but you also get the key. You see the key, and you can go to another tab, look at all the endpoints, start trying it out, and then you can make those requests. That's as simple as that, right? Your end user experience is going to be, it's not going to be any more difficult from an AWS Marketplace standpoint because we do all of the heavy lifting. But with that said, this is going to be probably even simpler and along the lines of a lot of the other providers out there. And then when you go to that page, you'll only see our API exposed, our versions of APIs exposed, right? So we're not sending you to like Amazon.com and say, go find our phone over there, right? We're turning into like Apple.com to pick from a number of phones, but all the phones are our phones, right? So it gives you a more customized experience. That's the value these API hubs or platforms or whatever they are called, that's the value they bring to the table. Now, if you dig deeper, there's a lot of terminologies here. There's a service mesh, there's an API gateway, what are the differences, yada, yada, yada. You can Google up and check all of those out. It kind of digresses from the core topic here to some extent, even if not entirely so. So that's the experience you would get on Blobber for Snowpal. That's what I expect to get out of Rapid's Business Hub as well. We'll have to see how it goes. Of course, the UI is going to be different. The experience of onboarding might be slightly different, but ultimately, with all of them, you subscribe to the API, you get an API key, and you're good to go, right? That's basically it. And you see the documentation either inline on the very same platforms, or you might be redirected to README, or it could be a combination of one and the other, right? So we're going to have our documentation on Postman for developers, on README for product owners, like I've said before, and on these systems to an extent. So if you don't want to go look at the detailed documentation, you can either see some things here, or we may have a link that takes you there, or something along those lines to make your experience as seamless as possible, right? That's Blobber. And then I checked out Kong, was one of the larger providers out there. They're all similar yet different, right? They support Open API, but how they support, what services they bring to the table, there's a lot of differences between all these systems, because that's how they're going to create the differentiation, right? Now, Open API is a standard. If all of them did it the exact same way, why would you choose one versus the other, right? There's going to have to be some differences between eating at Potbelly and Subway and whatever other sandwich place that you might go to, right? Or Panera Bread. So they bring that value. Even if the underlying recipe of these sandwiches is based on a specification, in this case it's Open API, the sandwich needs to look different enough, and the restaurant needs to provide different value or different value added propositions, so consumers actually can go to one or the other restaurants, right, for their needs. In that case, in that scenario, Kong is a little bit quite different. From what I've seen, again, this is all time. I've spent very little time because we want to get things out there, but at the same time, we want not be ignorant before we get things out there. So I only time box my work to a couple of hours, and everything I'm sharing here is making sure that you save. You know, it could take you more or less time looking this up yourself. So hopefully this saves you some time, right? Anyway, so with Kong, there's two ways. The request goes through, it doesn't go through Kong from what I've seen so far. It's not proxied through Kong. You actually make the request directly to your servers, your gateway, and you do the routing and everything. Kong gives you a number of other services and integration, scope for integration with other systems there. So you could actually, let me step back, right? So from what I've seen is the requests do not go through Kong. I have to dig deeper to figure out what exactly, but even if the request does not go through Kong, there is still value add, and here is the value add. You basically you sign up as a provider, you import your Open API YAML, have your endpoints and have everything set up and create like other subscriber accounts, or you socialize this portal with the subscriber, and when subscribers sign up, you're going to get a request, you're going to approve or deny or decline based on the plan they pick, and then they go to their version of the Kong implementation, right? So it's two sides, provider and subscriber, right? I don't know what language they use, but that's the essence of it. They can go consume your endpoints and interact with you through this portal, which is both a provider portal and a consumer portal, right? This is different from Blobber, for instance, right? From the AWS Marketplace experience so far, from Rapid so far. Now, there are points of overlap, the areas of overlap between all of these disparate API platforms and hubs, but they're also distinct in their own ways. The number of integration options I see available on Kong, I haven't checked all of them out. I'm going to have a conversation with them soon. Seems much richer than the other systems that I've seen so far. So clearly, they are solving a slightly different API problem. There's more to talk. Let me end this video here and pick this up in video number 7. Talk to you soon. Thanks.